Welcome to the Deep Dive. So, today we've got a really fascinating mission lined up for you. We are going deep, really deep into the biography and I guess the revolutionary career of Sakura Sena.
It's a wild story. She's a figure who didn't just exist in the Japanese adult entertainment industry, she completely reshaped it. And she did it by going global when nobody else was.
And we've got a great stack of sources to pull from here. We're talking specialized encyclopedias, biographical accounts, and even some direct interview transcripts.
Yeah, and what's so compelling about the sources is they don't just focus on her filmography. They paint this picture of a really calculated business mind, someone who understood physical transformation, branding, and, crucially, how to use the early internet.
Right, it's a story about strategy, how she navigated Japan's really strict censorship and basically pioneered her own digital marketing playbook.
She really did. She wasn't just in the industry. She was a genuine pioneer.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's start with the basics, the core identity. The consensus is she was born January 31st, 1975, in Shigasaki, Kanagawa.
Though there is one source that claims a different date, November 4th, in Tokyo. But yeah, the Shigasaki origin seems to be the more widely accepted one.
And her measurements became central to her entire brand, especially later on.
Oh, absolutely. 101, 58, 86 centimeters, which is about 40, 23, 34 in inches. She was 5'4" and had this incredibly slim 23-inch waist.
Which just made the later changes even more dramatic, right?
Exactly. So she was active for about a decade, from 93 to 2003, and she used a bunch of different names, which kind of tracks her career phases.
She started as Shio Fujiwara.
Mhm.
That was her name for almost the whole first decade, right up until March 2002.
Yeah, and she dabbled with others too. Misaki Karan, Miho Kanda, Miki Kagawa, even Jewel J at one point. But the big shift, the name that stuck, was Sakura Sena.
And that name change coincided with the physical rebranding. This is where the story, for me, just gets wild, the physical transformation.
This was the turning point. After about 4 years in the industry, stripping and acting, she makes this deliberate, strategic choice.
She realized her natural look wasn't going to cut it on the global stage she was aiming for.
Precisely. It was a two-step process. Step one was a 400cc breast enhancement under the muscle. That surgery was done in Japan.
Okay, so that was the first step, but that wasn't the final form, so to speak.
Not even close. The sources really emphasize the limitations of that first procedure. So for step two, she does something really dramatic. She flies to the United States.
To Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Yep. And there she gets a second and just monumental enhancement. Another 1000cc of saline, this time over the muscle.
Wow. And the result?
The result was media chaos. She ended up with a 32G or 70G cup size. And our sources all confirm at that moment that was the largest enhanced chest in the entire Japanese adult industry.
Which is how she got that nickname, right? The Cyborg Woman.
That's it. The Japanese media branded her almost immediately. It's such a charged name.
Did she run with it?
Oh, she completely embraced it. It became part of the brand. And you have to understand, that trip to the U.S. wasn't just about size. It was about getting around the system. Japanese medical and, legal standards were much more restrictive.
So she couldn't have even gotten that surgery done in Japan if she'd wanted to.
Unlikely. Not to that extreme.
Yeah.
So going to America was this aggressive, calculated move to create an aesthetic that was physically impossible for any of her domestic rivals to match. It set her up perfectly for the international market.
That is just a fascinating business decision, using another country's regulations to build your unique selling proposition.
It says everything about her determination. So let's look at where that drive came from. The sources give us a surprisingly deep look at her early life.
Right. She grew up in a middle-class family in Shigasaki. Her dad was a carpenter. She had 3 brothers.
And she was supposed to go to design school, but she always said she wanted to do something out of the ordinary.
And that phrase just seems to echo through her entire life story.
It really does. The sources are also very direct about her first exposures to sexuality. At 13, she secretly watched a hardcore American adult video from her father's stash.
And she actually credits that specific experience with her preference for foreign men later in life.
You can already see the threads connecting, right? A pull towards the extreme, an interest in foreign content. And then there's this really jarring anecdote about her using a vacuum cleaner hose for self-pleasure.
Yeah, that's a heavy detail, with such intensity that she tore her skin.
And her grandfather apparently walked in, saw what was happening, was so embarrassed he just said, "You have a phone call?" and left the room.
Wow. It just paints a picture of this incredibly intense and unsupervised exploration of sexuality from a really young age.
Very. She lost her virginity at 14 in junior high. and apparently sought out experiences with older men, even friends' fathers, who she says taught her about sex toys.
And then, about a year after that, comes this extremely difficult incident involving the Yakuza.
It's a tough part of the story. She was picked up, taken to a love hotel, and forced to perform fellatio for 2 hours straight.
Just an awful experience. And then, in this bizarre twist, they take her to karaoke afterwards.
It's a shocking event, but her interpretation of it, as reported in the interviews, is maybe even more shocking.
What do you mean?
She actually credits that specific high-pressure traumatic encounter with developing the oral skills that became a signature part of her professional career.
Let's just pause on that.
Yeah.
It's as if she took these boundary-destroying life events, and instead of being broken by them, she filed them away as professional development.
It's an incredible mindset. She wasn't just reacting to life, she was actively seeking out the edge of ordinary, no matter how dangerous it was.
Okay, so let's move into how she capitalized on all of this.
Yeah.
Her actual career. She started as a nude model, then her film debut at 18 in a movie called Kaikin.
Yeah, under her first name, Shigo Fujiwara. But the real game changer, the truly revolutionary move, was in 1999. The website, the Sakura Mania Club, or SMC. This was huge. At the time, Japanese performers just weren't doing this kind of direct personal online marketing.
So why was that such a big deal? I mean, what did it let her do that she couldn't before?
It let her bypass everything. The entire Japanese adult video, or JAV industry, was and is built around censorship.
The famous porn mosaic, right? The
Exactly.
pixelization.
Exactly. Every single JAV release had to have it by law. But her website, the SMC, just didn't. She offered high-quality, completely uncensored photos and long videos.
So she created a global, subscription-based business to deliver a product that was literally illegal to distribute in her own country's primary market.
That's it. It's a brilliant business innovation. And she immediately used her new physique to push that international angle. Her first post-surgery appearance was in the American Magazine score.
And she was the first Japanese woman ever to be featured in that magazine.
A huge milestone. Then, in 2001, she signs a contract for a DVD called Monster Body, specifically to work with a foreign cast. That DVD, promoted heavily on her site, just blew up her international fan base.
So what did all this mean for her reputation back home in Japan?
Well, she got a lot of bad press. The media accused her of setting a bad example for young women with the surgical enhancement, but she was smart. She basically used that controversy as marketing.
She turned the domestic disapproval into a selling point for her foreign audience.
Precisely. She knew that being the cyborg woman who defied Japanese norms was her unique brand, and it worked. She appeared in over 70 JAV features.
Just think about the workload. And the range of acts was enormous: anal, interracial, Japanese bondage or shibari, and even a 100-man bukkake scene.
It shows an incredible professional commitment. She was all in.
Which brings us to her personal life and her exit strategy. In a 2003 interview, she mentioned she had a Canadian boyfriend.
And that Canadian connection was the key. In May 2003, she makes a very clean break. She just moves to the Okanagan Valley in British Columbia, Canada. And that was it. Retirement.
What's so fascinating is how the psychological profiles in the sources seem to just click right into place with this exit strategy.
Yeah, they really do. The sources point to her being an ESFP.
Okay, break that
Yeah.
down for us. Extroverted, sensing.
Feeling and perceiving. It's a profile for someone who is outgoing, focused on immediate experiences, adaptable, and makes decisions based on their feelings and values. The whole career, the body modification, the pursuit of sensation, it fits perfectly.
And there's another one mentioned, an Enneagram type, 6W7.
Right, which is sometimes called Mr. or Miss Congeniality. They love fun and adventure, but, and this is the key part, the six-wing brings this underlying fear of things going wrong.
So they always have a backup plan.
Always. They need security. And that explains the exit so perfectly. She had this wild, adventurous, high-risk career, but the whole time she was building her escape route. She maxed out her brand, then executed this clean, safe retirement plan to Canada.
It really was a 10-year plan executed flawlessly. And despite everything, the sources say she's still seen by some as this respected cultural icon, someone who shattered the stereotypes of her industry.
She definitely created a new template for success in that world. It was all about strategic investment in her body, pioneering digital sales, and leveraging international markets to beat domestic rules.
So to sum up this deep dive, we've looked at the power of radical self-reinvention, going from Shiho Fujiwara to the Cyborg Woman. We've seen how she used digital marketing to bypass censorship and how international influence was key to her entire strategy.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. Given her very conscious, very strategic use of surgery and boundary-pushing content to get famous, and her immediate, perfectly planned exit to Canada right after, do you think her journey was ultimately a brilliant, calculated business plan executed to perfection? Or was it something deeper, a lifelong, authentic quest to live out that something out of the ordinary path she set for herself from the very beginning?
A fascinating question. A perfect blend of business and self-actualization. We'll talk to you on the next deep dive.